L is for the way you look at me.
Ah, you smell that? There's love in the air. Smells a lot like rotting flesh.
Welcome back to what is part 2 of what is essentially just the Heal Me Out Royale. And it's time for y'all to speak now or forever hold your peace.
Let's take a look at the comments you left to get a little laugh.
Malforce Skirmish says, I must say this has way more effort than I would expected from a Valentine's special, since Valentine's is far from the biggest holiday around. What can I say? We're romantics! Now why do you think my serial killer wins? Let's see. For my actual debate, despite this being oddly close to the point where I can imagine it going back and forth, between the Junkler and Frederick Kruegerton, I decide off Max and go for Freddy. That is dissing Larry. Sorry Larry, but I think Afton gets last for me. He has more advantages than I initially anticipated. He'd bring in the most cash, and is probably the best in terms of having stable relationships, but again, he does have issues. His biggest flaw is his appearance. Larry brought up ways he can make himself look less like a crushed California raisin, but not only does this scenario show him with his usual appearance, so no matter how he may look, he can't change his actual appearance. And more often than not, he'd be stuck in this ridiculous bunny suit. The idea of going on a date with a guy in a bunny suit works as well as Cream the Rabbit going on a date with Chris Thorndike, which it does not. Now, Larry did show evidence that Afton showed genuine love for his children, but that's surprisingly not helpful here. Not only because the Joker and Freddy have both shown better love for their children, and shown love for adults more often than Afton has, but last I checked, the love for a child and a partner is quite different. Plus, we haven't seen much of his love for his partner, while Freddy and Joker are shown to do quite well, or at least better than mutilated Bugs Bunny over there. As for the financial benefit, I feel like it could work out to an extent. While yes, Afton could bring in the most money in good ways, if Connor were to look into the past of these two, he'd be pretty turned off quickly with what Afton has done over the years. On the subject of Connor, I feel like he's more important than you've all shown, and by that I mean there's more to say about the guy than nothing at all. But we just fucking made the guy up so we could have somebody here. But it was shown off, yeah, we did show this. This is my fault, I wrote this. It was shown off that he's pretty frightened by all of them. And I feel like he'd at least somewhat get used to Freddy and Joker, since they both have equally balanced of serious and goofy shit, while Afton is too serious. I guess it's a good point. Maybe I was secretly writing it that Connor and Freddy are perfect for each other from the start. But you didn't hear that from me. I think Afton will get dead last. I still have points against Afton like his large ego, and especially how sex would go down. Can you imagine having sex with a bootleg Chuck E. Cheese animatronic that's as broken as a McDonald's ice cream machine? Yeah, no, Afton does not cut it. As for Joker and Freddy, this is tricky to discuss. The Joker is the most human here by a landslide. I mean, Freddy looks like a victim of the pyro, and I already discussed Afton to hell and back. We say hell around here, not heck, you child. The Joker is far from the best looking DC character, but compared to these guys, he's doing just fine. He can do well in terms of money with how rich he is. He can be a good bit more serious than Freddy, and I think he would at least try to have a stable relationship, at least until the game ends, similar to how he and Harley turned out. And in terms of some sweet gay sex, he would do a good bit better. I mean, his cemetery with Lex and Batman shows this. Are you on my side? Ah, with that said though, Freddy has a lot more going for him. Yes, Joker has a lot of money, way more than what Freddy could make outside of the dream world. However, going back to Connor, who's to say that he doesn't have a stable job? For all we know, none of these bastards would need to work. They could be just stay-at-home partners who handle all the kids. For better or for worse. Worse. Those kids are going to be little psychopaths if any of these guys raise them. As Max said, he is most caring of anyone here. Yes, he killed his wife, but if you were in his situation, you'd feel a bit like he did. Meanwhile, the Jokester is a constant mix of good and bad, and I already went over Max without Ruby over there. What? I also feel like he'd be the most likable of the three. I know that's odd to say, but he's shown to be kind around those he cares about, unless they go after him for his murderous past. While the Joker is a constant abuser of those partners, and on the topic of murderous pasts, I already mentioned Springtrap's past could be hard for good old Connor to deal with, but Joker is way worse. We could be here all day discussing his crimes, and Freddy just hasn't done as many crimes in comparison. I'd also like to argue, since it was somewhat implied that Freddy stops his crimes due to having a loving marriage, I feel like something like that could happen here, or at the very least, it would be more likely than Jeff the Jonkler and Oswald the unlucky animatronic over there. Yes, I am trying to reference as many rabbit characters as possible. Rabbits and bunnies are cute. They're cute when they're skinned! Finally, I'd like to bring up that Freddy over there is just better in terms of being around for marriage. And no, I don't just mean sex. He was shown to work well in a relationship in the past, at least until his family found out about his crimes. He seemed to work well, and could work well whenever he isn't murderous. As I said before, there is a possibility that he could just stop being so murder-happy. Meanwhile, the Joker is always causing crimes, is always going to jail, dies a ton of times, and focuses more on making a quick buck, committing murderous acts, or being a complete cunt. You'll say that! You will say that, but you will say heck instead of hell. Than being a family man as a romantic partner, father, or otherwise. So ultimately, I see Freddy winning this! The unenergized bunny has too much going against him with his locks and past history, and the joke with the most has an equal amount of good and bad, while Freddy just has the good going for him. I think our boy Connor will be doing the Freddy with our boy Freddy Krueger as he dances in victory and asserts his dominance over his competition. By the way, in the time it took me to write this, the episode played 3 times, so I spent an hour and 25 minutes and 51 seconds typing this out. And I'm not sure if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but just know that is a thing. It's a good thing. You made a good comment for me. It's nice to meet someone of good taste.
Nice comment, but I'm afraid you're backing up the wrong Freddy here. We only support those at Fazbear Entertainment here.
I will forever be cursed with the knowledge that nowadays, that's the Freddy people think of when they think of a horror Freddy. That cursed bear is ruining my life!
Also, what the heck do you mean that looking into previous crimes would only make them hate Springtrap? Yeah, as opposed to the guy that kills people in their dreams, or the guy that constantly terrorizes the entire city on a daily basis. Nah, it'll only be Springtrap where he draws the line. The guy who kills children, which both the other two have also done. And on a much higher scale, might I add. Freddy literally turned an entire town into a ghost town, and Joker literally gave kids poison cotton candy and blew up an entire school. At least Springtrap only killed one kid at a time. I cannot believe this is the bar we have to set. Plus, how the heck is Connor here going to be able to find anything on Springtrap? All of his crimes are pretty under wraps. Yeah, Fazbear's Pizza is known for its murders, but no one knows who caused these murders. Plus, the establishment usually tries its best to slide everything under the rug anyways, like with FNAF VR. Meanwhile, Freddy is just an actual serial killer who people literally hunted down and burned alive, and is now a paranormal legend. And Joker makes absolutely no attempt to hide that he's the Joker, baby.
It is a very strong point to say. You know, perhaps our lovely Connor does pick up a job and supports them both. He can just leave his child with the pedophile and the child murderer. Nothing bad will happen. Promise. Jokes aside, the Joker is the only one you can trust around a child. And while a crime lord, he has retired several times in secrets across the comics. And with his genius intellect, any job he wants is his. Springtrap isn't exactly rolling back into Freddy Fazbear's Industries and taking it over. On top of all the legal issues he would face, he would absolutely crash that franchise into the ground again. He can't run a business on a small scale, so how is he going to handle where they're at now? And Freddy's trapped in dreams, so he isn't exactly giving you anything. He would make our poor friend Connor here seem even more sad considering he's dating someone in his own dreams. Listen, Connor, buddy, those bullies didn't mean it literally when they said in your dreams.
I did want to say, since having a job was brought up, I actually think Freddy can provide you with the most money here. Larry mentioned that while Freddy can dream up Scrooge McDuck levels of money, it doesn't mean shit when you wake up. But actually, people have shown to be capable of taking items, such as Freddy's hat, out of the dream world and into the real world. So if times are tough, Freddy can just conjure up some fat stacks and let Connor live this sweet life. And there won't be any traces to him, like what may happen if you rob a bank. And Springtrap just is not getting his job back at Freddy Fazbear's after all of his heinous actions. And if we're talking about heinous actions, I think reasonably Connor isn't picking any of them if he's smart, so I feel like the morality plays less into this. And he's probably just thinking, who am I more safe with? And in that case, it is probably the guy you can literally only see at night, whereas Springtrap and the Joker could terrorize you all day and night if they wanted.
I think William could easily get another job at Fazbear Entertainment. And Pizzeria Simulator, we see that they offer up their own fix-em-up restaurants for people to manage and gain income from. So I can easily see him starting from the bottom and working his way back up. I know they probably wouldn't be happy to see William Afton come back, but we've seen him utilize aliases before, like Dave in the comics or Steve Wagland in the FNAF movie, so he can easily sneak his way back in. I mean, wouldn't be the first time they would be on board with recruiting a literal walking corpse. I know Butter thinks that William failed to run his own establishment, but like I said, Fazbear's Pizza was actually a pretty popular restaurant, even if it was cheap. It got its own cartoon show after all. William was just sort of dividing his attention between that and, killing. But if we're assuming that they're trying their best to turn over a new leaf, then I don't see the same happening here. Sure, this probably isn't going to be as profitable as Joker's role as a crime boss, but are you really going to take your chances at going into that life? Being part of a crime gang can be a very dangerous line of work. You think anyone would want to risk being on the receiving end of the Dark Knight? He won't kill, but is more than fine with traumatic brain injuries. Even if the Joker doesn't recruit you in his crimes, there still is the risk of you being used as a means of backstabbing the Joker or being used as blackmail, which you won't even care about. When Harley and Batman were both raised above a pool of acid and he was only allowed to choose one, he immediately chose Batman without a second thought. Going with the Joker is far more likely to lead to a much more dangerous lifestyle.
Even if we say he gets a job there, there's nothing inherently special about him that's going to get him a high-paying position. He starts out at a very low wage where Joker's wealth is immediate. And if we say that they are making an attempt to turn their life around, Joker wouldn't be committing any more crimes. He's just already so wealthy and so brilliant that he could get any job that he wants to if he doesn't already have the money to retire on. Batman is also a double-edged sword, as since Joker is trying to make a better for himself, guess he's going to be right there doing all he can to help him. Batman's tried to reach out for him for decades, and this would be the chance to help him change for the better.
I mean, William is pretty capable himself. Again, he's very skilled with robotics, which can easily allow him to get a job involving engineering. We also see him have a job as a security guard in both the games and the novels, so he's physically capable. And in the movie, he has a job as a career counselor, which already requires good communication skills and just knowledge about any type of work, so he's more than capable of getting back on his feet, which is one of the points of this next comment. Cape Jedi says, "This is the one time I'm willing to side with Springtrap, as this is less of a debate of who's the best and more of who's the least bad." Pretty much, yeah. Now, Freddy is certainly someone I could imagine being a decent partner in terms of bedroom things, for lack of a better term. I can see how being around a guy who can make dreams cool being cool. However, that's just in the dream world. Assuming he doesn't just randomly pull the Necronomicon out of nowhere, everything he really has to offer is in the bedroom, and not just in the sexy way, since I don't think anyone sane would willingly do that with any of these three. Freddy certainly has got charisma, but he's kind of a one-night stand at best. And once the allure of the dream world goes away, he's just not going to be bringing anything to the table. As for the Joker, while he is probably the most generally conventionally attractive of the three, he also happens to be a very active criminal. Unlike Afton, who tends to keep everything under wraps, and Freddy, who does it on a whole nother plane of reality entirely. Joker is a very public criminal that really likes causing as much mayhem and destruction as possible, which means he's gonna get beaten up by superheroes or shot up by police every time he tries to do his usual shtick. And I don't think people like their partners coming home battered and full of bullets, or talking to them through a jail cell. Also sure, he has some instances of being kind, but this is like the guy who is basically the textbook definition of an abusive partner, and that's just on the people he likes keeping around. And that's also assuming your association with them doesn't lead you to being labeled as insane yourself, or trying to be his boyfriend, landing you in Arkham as well. And don't even get me started on how unappealing it would be to move to Gotham City, which is one of the worst places in DC to live, in that it isn't a planet that got sucked into a black hole. What? Meanwhile, yes, Afton is literally a walking corpse, but at least he's a polite walking corpse. Yo? You could have a casual conversation with him about topics that aren't just murder or about how epic they are. He can make illusions to at least trick you into not staring at a corpse all the time. And sure, he's not a great business owner, but if he does some freelance work or works as an employee, he doesn't have to worry about driving the place he works at into the ground. And a lot of his crimes is stuff he usually keeps under wraps, so he won't have to worry about being charged as an unintentional accomplice. Anyways, if Chucky were here, he'd stomp all of them. He's a charming presenter, funny as hell, is atomically correct, and respect the LGBT rights. Based. But since he's not here, I'm gonna have to say that Afton is the shiniest turd here.
Don't you think I thought about Chucky? I fucking agree! He would be the best pick! But we locked in this roster before I realized that. I'll find my opportunity to debate for Chucky some other day. It's okay though, because Freddy has something that Charles Lee Ray doesn't. The Dream Demons! I think he's the perfect one-night stand, as you've said, since he can become your wildest sex fantasy, which I think is the best possible outcome in these 3 potential relationships. Because should any of these relationships last longer than a night, it's very likely to become toxic. These are all horrible, monstrous murderers. Afton's obsession with having a family, and the Joker's demented way of drawing out his toxic relationships in order to abuse his partner, make it way harder to get rid of them. Whereas Freddy has only shown that level of obsession in the remake, which I am disowning for this debate. I only need him as a bouncing head in my music jokes.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't think anyone is gonna look at these 3 and immediately want to go on a bed wars, especially on the first date. I know Springtrap looks the worst, but are you really gonna go for Deadpool's ball sacks or fake Tekashi 6ix9ine? Freddy only really exists in your dreams, which sure has its perks, but if you go on telling people you're in a relationship with it's essentially just your sleep paralysis demon, you're gonna get sent a one-way ticket to an insane asylum. Doesn't know that Freddy's dreams kind of blur the lines between what's real and what's fake, which only will increase the likelihood of you going insane.
Well, Joker may be well known, but he's covering himself up easy as cake. He's made disguises and new identities that not even Batman can figure out. The fact that there's so many examples of him retiring in public with no issues raised makes that a pretty moot point against the Joker. Meanwhile, Springtrap isn't fixing who he is. Well, physically at least.
Joker could hide his identity if he wanted to, but the problem is, I don't think he would. Again, Joker kind of just goes around guns and pies a-blazing. I mean, his idea of a good date night is literally going around kidnapping people, blowing up ATMs, poisoning forest critters, and flooding entire streets with Holly. I don't think he would care about making himself look good. I don't think either Joker or Freddy would. We've at least seen that William can make an attempt to look good in the public and be able to turn the crazy off. Plus again, he can alter his appearance with his illusion disc to make himself more easy on the eyes, so to speak. So between these 3 freaks, his more normal personality may make him the more appealing option. And if Connor actually does have some sort of secret crush on crazy people, well, William can offer that too.
Can I just say, right, my friend Soul Symbiote says, this might be a somewhat strange thing to bring up, but the fact the scenario has them dating a man, I think actually helps the Joker quite a bit. Ever since the Grant Morrison and Dave McKean's 1989 masterpiece, Arkham Asylum, a serious house on serious Earth. Opposed to the silly Earth, the Joker is consistently portrayed or seen as a queer character, either explicitly attracted to Batman or subtly coded as such.
You complete me.
Yes, this does tie into the argument that the Joker only cares about Batman, but given Butter's examples of Joker of caring for other people within mainline and other media, I can see Mr. J giving the average Joe a change within the game of love. If anything, it would be funny if Gotham's most horrific villain started a loving relationship with literally just some guy. And the Joker likes doing shit if he finds it funny. It doesn't always have to be murder. Also surprised Butter didn't bring up Punchline, a more recent Batman villain that Joker seemingly has a genuine connection with. There are 40 Gorgillian comics, I'm not gonna be able to read them all. Springtrap is the most stable out of the 3 mentally and can build cool robots, but that's all he has. Otherwise, on all fronts he isn't doing great. If he has to use tech to trick your mind into thinking he's not some rotting corpse who fucking stinks, then I don't think he's worth it at all. The Freddy Fazbear franchise literally only found proper success when he was long dead after FNAF 6, and to be honest, we know so little about his marriage that you can make as many negative arguments as you can find positive. He has a much better shot than Krueger though, at least, who's very limited to what he can do in the real world, and likely would prefer a woman much younger than him. A lot younger than him. One final thing. Joker is the most attractive one here physically. Personally, I'm not into dead bodies or Deadpool's ballsack. I mean, I'm right there with you, to each their own though.
As I've brought up, while Freddy's dream abilities limit him, they can still come into play where it counts. He'll always be able to provide for his family because he can dream up money and food for them. And if him being trapped in the dream world really is that much of a game changer, like Connor for some reason really wants to make this relationship work, Freddy can just let Connor grab onto him when he wakes up, and Freddy will be mortal again. We even saw that in Freddy's Dead he can come back into the real world just looking like Robert Englund. So there goes the fucking ugly argument. He's just a dude.
Freddy Krueger is a pedophile.
I'm disowning that Freddy! Shut up!
We got 6 more minutes to play.
Joker can form connections with others, but I still find it hard to believe that he could ever care about anyone more than himself, or more importantly, Batman. When Lex Luthor was getting tortured by the Joker, Lex made one insulting comment about how Batman loves Catwoman more than him, and he became absolutely furious and turned that torture up to 11, and threatened to burn him alive and cut his hands off. No matter how close you get with him, you'll only ever be second fiddle to his true love.
That's a version of the Joker, and not the main line. The main line and several sidelines have made genuine connections before. I'm sure with how long he's been around, there's bound to be some contradictions, but generally, the Joker usually can and has loved before.
You know, I am loving the banter you two are having, but hey, how about throwing some arguments my way? I need to clap back with my reasons for why Freddy's a sweetheart!
Pedo incest wife killer.
Fucking!
I mean, in my eyes, Freddy is the only one here who just doesn't show any actual connections with anyone. Joker at least has some versions of his character with connections with people, and we know that William actually cares about his kids. Freddy seems too self-centered to ever give a crap about anybody.
Well, again, Freddy was married for a significant period in his life, and actor Robert Englund stated that Freddy straight up respects Nancy Thompson as a worthy adversary. So he's not so self-absorbed that he only likes himself. Let's get a little more Freddy love in here, huh folks? Where's my second Freddy comment at? Yeah, I'm gonna go with Freddy on this one. Freddy, while he may be a serial killer, he is also very good at talking to people, especially if they're gonna be on his side. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a healthy relationship with him and Catherine. They're still somewhat cool with each other, nightmare warriors. Oh no! Don't bring that up! Oh, you fucked me! God damn it! Oh yeah, that'll help, Max! I'll bring up the incest plotline from that comic! Oh, everyone's gonna want to vote for Freddy now! Get out of here, I don't need your comment anymore!
Ugh, it's getting a little sad how much this has turned on Freddy. Pity point. Freddy could get Connor paid by improving anyone's dream for a price, giving him a very good way to financially support him despite being trapped in the dream world.
No! I don't need any more pity points! Wait, it's not over! Look! Freddy's proud of his daughter killing people. It brought a tear to his eye. He's one proud papa! I love you, Daddy! Ignore the rest!
Nah, Freddy just seems way too childish to be a good father. But you know who else is a caring father? My boy Springtrap, baby.
Springtrap can go fuck himself! This place is so great!
Actually, why is it so great? What kind of activities can you do there?
With the characters you two are debating for, I don't need a fan song to make such accusations, but I'll save you two the trouble, and head to the next comment. Springtrap shall surely succeed in this seduction showdown, terrible name. As a Death Battle fan, being in a romantic relationship is foreign to me, though I have read many Wizstick fics, so I think I got a decent grasp on the concept. Usually, two people would want to give each other space when they're in a relationship. After all, too much of anything is never a good thing, and when boundaries aren't in place, it leads to the couple's relationship becoming toxic or obsessive, and I believe Dave Miller is the best at setting boundaries. Freddy and Joker are borderline obsessive when it comes to certain people. If they're in a relationship, they will probably annoy you more than anything if the relationship keeps up. Sure, seeing Freddy in a dream sounds pretty cool, but if it's for every single night, you get tired of them pretty quickly. And the Joker's idea of love revolves around making Batman laugh. He'll definitely force his other to join him in his nightly antics against Batman, which will probably land you with getting a broken bone or 30 of them. Have fun spending a day with the Joker in the hospital. Springtrap would be the best at setting boundaries between himself and his lover. He hasn't shown to be overly obsessive like the other two are, and the fact that he's been married and had 3 children implies that the relationship was pretty strong. Also, Springtrap does generally care about his loved ones. Larry brought up how he based Baby off his daughter, but I'm more interested in him making the psychic friend Fredbear Plus to specifically keep an eye on the crying child, to keep him out of danger. And it worked up until something out of Davy's control caused his son's death, which wasn't his fault to begin with. So overall, I think William's chances of winning are extraordinarily not saying that. The winner is Springtrap.
While I agree that boundaries are a good thing, the kind of ones where you need to be a mile away from your mate because they smell like a man cave isn't healthy either. Joker is the kind of person you can be near without vomiting as much as a Family Guy skit. And not overly obsessive, Doesn't he kidnap people? Springtrap caring is kind of in the air. William is such an unopened book, we don't know if it's because he was caring for her specifically. It could just be another instance like Freddy where it's a loveless marriage and more of a disguise than an actual relationship.
I would just like to further spread doubt that William Afton was originally this fucking awesome dad who loved his kids and only went crazy because of their accidental deaths. The dude was abusive, even before all that. And I still think that on the whole abusive side of this debate, that's where Freddy is coming out a little better, with fewer examples of straight-up manipulation to keep people tied into relationships.
Now, the less acceptable pieces of parenting Afton may be known for were only really touched upon in spin-off material that is a whole different canon than the original story, like the books or the movie. There are generally just way too many differences between the continuities. In the novels, he wasn't the one who built Baby, it was Henry, while in the original games, William apparently built Baby as a gift just for Elizabeth. And heck, Vanessa isn't even his real daughter in the original games. But even in the movies where he is more abusive, we actually see him have a face of remorse and sadness when he stabs Vanessa, showing that deep down, he really did care. Which is still more than Freddy, I'd say. And yeah, Springtrap being a corpse will probably stink pretty bad, but I really doubt the smell of blood that the other two will be bringing home will be any better. Nothing a little perfume won't fix, or maybe just take a bath. Can you even wash a corpse? The other two are again also known for taking part of some nauseating body horror that will make them just as bad. I think appearance is a problem for all three of them. Even people like the Joker have had a lot of creepy and disgusting designs. But when Connor gets to know all of them, he will see that Springtrap's crimes are anywhere near as well known or as wide scale. And again, since Afton knows how to act normal in person, he'll be less put off by him. Don't judge a book by its cover. We're about to have a Beauty and the Beast type of ending. Springtrap's the beauty.
Vanessa is just proof he can be abusive. He stabs her and throws her away like yesterday's garbage. We have no reason to believe he was a good dad at all. That's one of his biggest problems aside from the smell. He's such an unknown person, we can't say for certain if he was good beforehand, as we have as much if not more proof of him being bad. And the movie kinda makes me lean more into the he wasn't. A little remorse, but still doing it still makes you a bad person. The dude on the tube says, well, this isn't gonna end well, but if I had to choose one of these psychopaths to go on a date with, the Joker's surprisingly the best one, and I'll tell you why. Starting off with the Dream Demon, Freddy Krueger has the faults of the other two and more. Sure, he did get himself a job and start a family, but it was only to hide the fact that he was a killer. He also gave birth to Jim Henson's a Jim Henson witness baby, who caught him strangling his wife, saw what he truly was when she entered his shed, and would have most likely exposed him like his name was Tom Stewart. Weird reference. He also would have gone to jail if people at the trial weren't incompetent. Besides all that, the main thing that Freddy has going against him is the fact that when you date him, you're going to be doing it while you're sleeping. And getting some sleep would be better for your health than dreaming about this lunatic. I know that Freddy can be brought into the real world, but that would require him to be dragged outside of the dream world, and that would require a lot of lost sleep. Sure, he had a love song written about him, but that's all that is, a song. It's not like the girl singing the song actually has a crush on Freddy. And with all that said, Freddy Krueger isn't getting a date in his wildest dreams. Next up is the man behind the slaughter. Unlike Freddy, Afton is actually a successful businessman who ran a Chuck E. Cheese inspired pizzeria. Bull fucking shit that was successful. But that's the thing. Said pizzeria is now haunted and abandoned, where animatronics run around giving people heart attacks. Not to mention the various controversies surrounding the place, with various children dying and their souls being trapped in said animatronics. Do I even have to mention the bite of 87? Yeah, not the best resume when you're trying to get people to date you. There's also the fact that he's not the best husband to have, since his own family ended up dying and their souls trapped in the animatronics. Sure, he's a successful inventor who made a chip that could change the way people look at him, but that chip messes with people's mind with the usage of sound waves, and once you hear the sound waves and see Afton, if you know anything about what he's done, you might as well get out of there. So yeah, Afton's not coming back from the loneliness he's suffering from. So what makes the Joker different from the other two? What does he have that the other two don't? Well, believe it or not, he actually has the most heart and morality out of the three of them. Sure, he doesn't have the best relationship with Harley, but in the beginning, they actually had a healthy relationship. As Harleen Quinzel, she was able to talk it out with the Joker. figure out why he went insane, and that was the start of the relationship. In the Harley Quinn show, he actually started his own family. He had a wife and kids who actually did care for her, unlike the other two who murdered their families. Sure, Afton cared for his daughter, but he should have been more careful when she got trapped inside the animatronic. So in the end of the day, out of these 3 psychopaths, the Joker has the most heart out of them, and he would be the one getting himself a date, unlike the burned pizza face and the rotting robot bunny. Well, that was fun. Who's for Chinese?
Who are you to say that the girl singing the song didn't love Freddy? Well, hey, I found an episode of Freddy's Nightmares called Safe Sex about a girl who's obsessed with Freddy. And in one of the Elm Street novels, he helps a girl fulfill a sexual fantasy of hers, which is to have sex with the moon for whatever reason. Look at that! More evidence that he'll let you live out your sickest fantasies in bed.
I know the Joker was able to start off a relationship with Harley, but keep in mind the only reason they ever got together in the first place was because Harley was a psychologist with a fascination with the mind of the criminally insane. And even during the beginning, she wasn't exactly a fan of him to begin with. No normal man is going to look at these 3 and be fascinated about what's going on underneath. More than likely, they're going to be terrified than anything, especially when they get to know all 3 of them. Okay Joker, what are your hobbies? Oh, you know, I like long walks on the beach, working on my memoirs, and shooting a woman and making babies crawl over a dead corpse. The body counts of the other 2 are way larger and more messed up than anything Springtrap's done. Joker once ate everyone in China when he gained god powers, and Freddy once almost nuked the whole planet. It only makes sense that when you're given the choice of 3 evils, you're gonna want to go with the lesser of the 3 evils.
I mean, yeah, if you dig deep enough, I'm sure you can find other obscure canons where Joker's pissing on someone's grave. But I can just as easily argue the Jokers who aren't nearly as bad. Sticking with the mainline Joker, he's someone who has cared and loved before. Even if we say he didn't love Harley, there's still several people that he clearly did care for. While Springtrap may have done less evil things, he also has the least reason and capability to change. Joker meanwhile has changed a lot, and even Manhunter showing if his sanity is held together in place, he could become a normal person. Springtrap and Freddy will never have that. Afton does always come back, but it's always to cause agony.
Joker has been redeemed, yes, but it's only ever happened during A, whenever Joker is more fresh into his insanity, like in the Telltale series, or B, it took a ridiculously long while to do so. I doubt when Connor meets up with the Joker, he's gonna look at him and go, yeah, I can change him, like Harley did. And if he did want an insane man to change, well, all 3 of these people would be pretty good options for that.
Alright, it's time for our lucky man Connor to make his choice.
And while we're waiting in anticipation to see their choice, it seems the majority of y'all would have chosen Springtrap as your one true love. Oh, how beautiful. It really brings a tear to my eye. Oh, sorry. I always cry at weddings.
Oh? Wedding bells already? I guess it was love at first sight. Oh, I can't wait anymore. Who did Connor choose? Who did he think he could fix?
Well, it certainly isn't Freddy, if I didn't make that obvious enough. Look, I love Krueger, but I love him in a way where I would never want to actually meet him, just admire from afar. He is the most irredeemable monster here, which is part of why I like him, but it is also why he cannot win here. Like, William has some twisted desire to have a family, and the Joker can and has been redeemed before. But Freddy? I had to basically make shit up for him and his wife. We don't know if he ever genuinely loved her. She is not important to his story. In fact, I would say it's more likely that he was using his marriage as a cover-up so he could continue killing in Springwood without drawing any real attention to himself. I'm almost certain him trying to date Connor is just some bit he's doing. One that would end the second he's able to secure the kill on this poor young man if he were to succeed. There is no heart in this bastard's son, just the souls of his victims. If you thought romance was dead, now you know who to blame. However, I would absolutely choose to fuck him if this were a game of fuck, marry, kill. And that is the origin of this entire episode, by the way. He could become the most attractive woman alive. And yeah, he probably will turn his head back into Freddy a few minutes in just to fuck with me. But that would be a mind-blowing first couple of minutes before all that. It beats getting my dick ripped off by spring logs, or getting fucking Joker raids or something. I'm sure he has diseases. Demons don't have diseases, obviously. And if Freddy did, he could use his dream powers to get rid of them. That's my piece on the matter, and I'm sticking to it.
Interesting hill to die on, I guess, but go off. Anyways, that leaves us with our 2 finalists, the man behind the slaughter and the clown prince of crime. Gonna be honest, this was definitely a very difficult debate for me and Butter to figure out, with us having to scrape the bottom of the barrel to find any redeeming qualities for either of these two, to find a real winner out of these killers. But believe it or not, we found one. A real one. That winner being the Joker. Dang. Bull can really handle dying over and over in his own personal hell, but it seems not even William Afton could come back from the fun zone. Now, like I said, I didn't go down easy. I think Springtrap has plenty of advantages between the other two. I definitely think Springtrap would be a better choice than Krueger. Just the fact that we've seen William generally care about another life like his kids proves to me that while his definitely isn't beating anymore, he does have a heart and can form connections with other people. While Freddy hasn't shown to give a single crap about anyone but himself, but while he can definitely make life interesting with his dream powers, I think that's all he's bringing to the relationship. He definitely isn't going to be able to tone it down and have a more serious heart-to-heart like William can. I also think that between these three, Springtrap's the least evil of them. He by far has the lowest kill count to his name, and hasn't done nearly as many crimes as the other two have. Definitely helps that his crimes aren't as public knowledge as the other two, so he at least has the option to choose whether or not to share them. I also believe that Joker has a lot of dangerous pitfalls you can go into, whether it be him just treating you like absolute garbage like with Harley, or, as a reverse of that, becoming dangerously obsessive. There's literally a comic where he forces someone to be his friend by stalking him, terrorizing him, and killing literally all of his other friends until he was the only one left. Add that with the fact that William is shown to actually be able to turn the crazy off and have a normal conversation with people, and I genuinely believe he could have pulled this off. If he wasn't a freaking corpse, gosh darn it! As much as I try to tiptoe around this, nobody's gonna want to date a freaking corpse. Not only does he look absolutely terrifying and disgusting, but he smells horrible. This isn't even like us making an assumption. It's literally acknowledged in canon that Springtrap is nauseating to be around. Ain't no one gonna be able to sit through a day with this guy, let alone spend their entire life with them. At least with the other two, you can actually do something about their horrible appearance. Meanwhile, this is the best William can do. Unless you want to go around dating a 6.5 foot tall bunny man, which you can't even do so much as breathe on or else the spring locks will snap your body in twain. There's quite literally nothing Springtrap can do to change the fact that just being around him is going to be a health hazard. There are no perfumes or air fresheners strong enough to mask the scent of a corpse, and I highly doubt you can wash the corpse either. Nor will I incriminate myself and have my FBI agent watch me look up on Google if you can. There are the illusion discs which can help mask his appearance, but these things are actually pretty hit or miss. The sound waves emitted from some of these can actually cause things like headaches and even vomiting under prolonged exposure. Sure, there are some that have worked better like the ones on Baby, but that'll still do nothing about the horrible stench that Springtrap has. We saw with his son Michael that people started to shun him from society after he became just a walking skin suit. So if you go with Springtrap, you better kiss your social life goodbye. Also, funnily enough, going with Joker may actually be the safer option, cause at least he'll most likely have Batman there to protect you in case Joker goes off the deep end. Meanwhile, the best case scenario for the other two are just a couple of everyday nobodies. Plus, it doesn't help that Joker has been seen to be a bit more flirtatious in his approach to relationships, and while this would be a horrible way to go about it, could manipulate Connor into dating him just like he did with Harley. We haven't seen William become the Wizard of Oz or anything like that, so it's for those reasons I must concede.
And that leaves the winner to be the one, the only Joker. And when I say winner, I put the biggest asterisk I can possibly make. This is a horrible outcome. It is just less horrible than the bunch. As unbelievably god-awful as he is, there's technically a shot at a real relationship with him. Multiple versions have shown the ability to love someone. Meanwhile, Freddy's too off the deep end to ever recover from what he is. We can't confidently say that he'd ever become a semblance of normal again, as he probably was never normal in the first place. Joker and Springtrap were at least decent people before this whole becoming murderers thing. And as far as William, well, he is an undeniably better person than the Joker. He's also a rotting corpse, and there's just no way to avoid this. Yes, the illusion disc could mask the physical look, but ignoring the potential issues of a high-pitched sound constantly messing with your brain, Just being around that horrible smell has physical and mental effects on you. Anxiety, depression, nausea, all kinds of effects that would ruin and even potentially end your life by being near him. There isn't a good ending with him, even if he did change for you. There at least exists happy endings with the Joker. It may be taking drugs or just a whole lot of work, but those outcomes are entirely possible. He may take part in body horrors at times, but it's the most fixable issue. He's made himself look like a human before, and his skin being tainted pitch white isn't exactly the worst thing in the world. He just kind of looks like a clown, even if a bit disturbing. And frankly, some people are into that.
Start pounding, Joker.
And even if he went back to his old days, it doesn't necessarily put Connor in danger. He still loved his family in the Harley Quinn show and protected his pen pal from an abusive dad. If Joker did care for you, then there exists a chance for him going to lengths to make sure your life is okay as well, even if he does go to murder a puppy afterwards. And if he doesn't, well, Batman's always there to pull you out should worse come to worse. There's also the chance that he turns Connor into the next Harley Quinn. Not the most ideal situation, but I mean, the situation itself isn't exactly the best.
I feel so bad for this made-up schmuck that has to go out with these guys. Poor Connor only exists to suffer. But that was fun! I always enjoy talking about horror villains, and today I got to discuss my main man, Freddy. So even if I got dead and miserable last place in this video, he's still a winner in my heart.
It was definitely nice to revisit FNAF. It is unironically one of my favorite series, and while I'm not as crazy about Springtrap as most of the rest of this community seems to be, it still was fun to look through all the alternate media for the series and talk about Springtrap in this context. Sex and his loss can be summarized as,
Boo! You stink!
but you know, it is what it is.
Glad to finally come on this show and talk about one of the undeniably best comic book villains, even if it is just how viable in bed he is. It was great to revisit all the Joker media and listen to each other argue with the most bottom-of-the-barrel reasons on who was the best option. I'm just lucky the series made a big deal about the smell, because like 90% of my positive Joker times may have had a little bit of important context 2 seconds later. This was easily one of the funniest debates I've taken part in.
Still can't believe we made part 1 of this mere days after coming up with this idea as a joke. But it was worth it. Now let's see if all of Connor's struggles were worth it, and perhaps, maybe, he'll find true love. Welcome back to the dating game with your host, Jim Lang! Welcome back, everybody, welcome back. Last time we got to see the lucky man of the hour, Connor here, go on 3 separate dates with our beautiful bachelors. And now it's time for Connor to make his decision. Who's it gonna be, Connor? Will it be the Springwood Slasher, the man behind the slaughter, or the Clown Prince of Crime? Okay, do I really gotta do this? It's in your contract, Connor. Alright, then, I guess if I had to make a decision, I guess Joker? Wonderful! I needed a new replacement for Harley. Wait, I changed my mind! And there you have it! Connor has chosen the Joker! This lovely new couple will be sent on an all-expenses-paid second date at our sponsor, Applebee's. I'm not leaving empty-handed. Hey, save some for me, bitch! Thanks for tuning in! I hope you enjoyed the show! Stick around for our next episode! We'll see you next time! And so, Joker and Connor left the studio together. They did such activities like rob banks, blow up buildings, and get their shit kicked in by Batman. Through it all though, Joker found Connor was someone he actually cared for, wanted to change for. He made an effort to become a better person, putting his life of crime behind him, making an honest dollar, and becoming a man truly worth being with. Unfortunately, on his first day to work, he got hit by a speeding car of a Springlock bunny and a striped sweater felon. Neither were caught. Joker died in the hospital 2 hours later, leaving Connor, once again, a single man. Well, hey, maybe it's time for him to go back to the dating game. No!
side, get certified. And if life should treat you bad, don't get even.